This is a steal for the Los Angeles Lakers, as multiple new reports have dropped surrounding one center in particular that not only has fans fired up, but reveals some big information surrounding Rob Pelinka's next move. We also have some interesting other updates to go over today, but before we get into it all, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. You guys' support's been absolutely unbelievable. Folks, a lot to go over today, and obviously, moves are on the horizon for the Lakers. They've made a lot of moves already this offseason, but it seems that they aren't done quite yet. And there's some new reports that have dropped surrounding a center in particular that is not only interesting, but very, very odd to a degree as well. And let's dive right into it here. And of course, the player we're talking about is Nikola Vučević, because a new report has dropped from Jake Fisher and others revealing that the Bulls are expected to release Nikola Vučević if a trade cannot be finalized. And there has been some speculation about, the validity of this actual report and things like that. Jake Fisher came out, I believe, and said there's a chance that he gets, bought out. There's a chance that they're looking for a trade for a guy like Nikola Vučević. And we'll, of course, discuss all possible options here in this video. But let's start with the fact that the Lakers have been heavily linked to Vučević. Now, this is an interesting one. I showed you there in the initial screenshot. Like, he is a very solid player and would actually fit alongside Luka Doncic very well. But you do have DeAndre Ayton and players like that. But a new report and article has dropped saying the Lakers are urged to waive Gabe Vincent in order to sign the all-star big man. So if they were to do it through buyout, you would, of course, have to make some moves. The Lakers have a bunch of expiring salary and expiring deals like that, and a bunch of just salary they can trade off. But you can see this here from a reporter. One option could be to waive and stretch the salary of Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber. You can do that with either guy, he said. So the question becomes, would that be the preferred path rather than giving up that second round pick, is to have $3.6 million in dead money sitting on your books. So of course you have to choose between the second round pick and having dead money sitting on your books. Of course, that would be the outcome from waiving both Kleber and Gabe Vincent. As Lane alluded to, the other option would be to package Vincent and Maxi Kleber's expiring contracts along with the second round pick in order to land Vučević via trade. So there's two possible options here that can happen. And of course, all of this is fueled from the fact that the Bulls, there is a chance, we know they're actively looking to trade him, but there's a chance they also buy him out. I'll be focusing mainly on, the trade aspect, at least for this video, but there's also, of course, the buyout aspect as well. Regardless, they're going to be similar value-wise anyway. You're either giving up a second-round pick or you're eating $3.6 million in dead money because of waiving those two players. Of course, they're guaranteed that they have. It is interesting because we know that the Lakers before have been very active in the buyout market. They got Marcus Smart from the buyout market. They got DeAndre Ayton from the buyout market. And then, of course, they also got Jake LaRavia from the free agency pool. Does Nikola Vučević fit? That's obviously the biggest question mark. You can see this here. The Lakers have benefited most from the buyout market. That's obvious. And is Ayton and Vučević a good center backup center combo? On the surface, absolutely. They're both very solid centers. They both, have averaged double-doubles for almost the entirety of their career. However, the question mark still becomes defense. But you do have a third-string center at that point in Jackson Hayes. And the big difference here is that if you do go ahead and acquire a guy like Nikola Vučević to pair with DeAndre Ayton, you have Jackson Hayes then as your third-string center, which actually fits very well because he's more athletic than Vučević and DeAndre Ayton. He does different things. Like, he's more of a pick-and-roll guy, whereas Ayton can create his own shot. Vučević is more of an offensive-minded, center. And you can see here, I'm told the recent Doncic path, once Washington granted the 31-year-old and his agent, obviously this is surrounding Smart, particularly resonated with Smart and helped lead the former defensive player of the year to choose the Lakers over the Suns, which is interesting because maybe Doncic could do the same thing for Nikola Vučević. Mark Stein wrote in his Substack that Doncic showed his commitment to the Lakers by recruiting those two. Could he do the same with Vučević? External fretting about Doncic committing his long-term future to the Lakers, meanwhile, has dissipated considerably thanks to the contributions made in free agency to acquire some of those other guys. And we know, I've covered it in the channel a lot, like they're going to sign Luka Doncic to a massive extension, right? It's going to happen, whether that's 3 years, 4 years. Obviously, he can't sign the Supermax. But when it pertains to, specifically Nikola Vučević, if Luka does go ahead and do some recruiting, if he's a buyout, or even recruiting to Rob Pelinka about making that trade and getting rid of your two expirings and your second, the problem is they only have one second-round pick they can trade. And is there a better player out there than Nikola Vučević to make that trade for the second-round pick? No. Like, he obviously is the most talented one out of them. He's a fantastic center. Has his flaws. Can the Lakers kind of mitigate those flaws? That's obviously the question. But you look at the starting five. That starting five is going to remain the same. Again, I'm on record, and I've been on record saying to put in Austin Reaves on the bench and put in Marcus Smart as the starting lineup. So you have a Luka, Smart, LeBron, Rui, Ayton starting five with, of course, Austin Reaves manning the bench, something he's done before and can help provide some offensive firepower to the bench. Whether, JJ Redick does that or not is still up in the air. You could also move Hachimura to the bench and run a small lineup of Doncic, Reaves, Smart, LeBron, Ayton. Regardless, that's a conversation for another day. If you add Nikola Vučević to this, whether he's on the bench or starting, he would provide some, much needed offense, but at the same time, like, they need defense. And is Vučević a good defender? No, he's not a good defender. You look at his stats last year, even in all these down years with the Bulls, he's been one of the most durable centers in the NBA since joining. Has started a ton of games as of late, 18 points, 10 rebounds, and can shoot threes. He obviously has shot, 4 threes a game, 40% from 3 last year. So he's coming off his best shooting season of his career. And of course, the year before that was struggling a little bit, 29.4%. But he's an elite shooting center, but he is not good defensively. You can see he averages, no, like 0.7 blocks, 0.8 steals. But he would help this team in general. And I think at this point, if you are the Lakers, do you want to go out and kind of double down on the fact that your defense is really bad, or do you want to go out and try to fix the holes? Now, I don't think there's many available to plug those holes, whether that be Herb Jones and Andrew Wiggins, someone like that. They've done their best with the Marcus Smarts of the world, hoping for a Bronny James, resurgence year this year, and really hoping that he stands out above the rest. You have Jared Vanderbilt, who's apparently in the best shape of his life, and if that's the case, he can obviously help as well. But at the end of the day, it's an interesting fit, and I do think it would be a steal for the team if you can get him for basically nothing in the buyout world, because again, it's another case of just add talent to the team and figure out the defensive side. Because if they're going out and they're getting Nikola Vučević via buyout market or a really cheap trade, it's obviously because they couldn't get a wing, right? You couldn't get Andrew Wiggins, you couldn't get Herb Jones. So if you can't get either, a defensive wing to help defensively, it's better to just, get somebody else rather than just leave the team as is. I don't think Vučević would hurt this team. Obviously, you have Jackson Hayes, who's a solid defending center. He can run, some of the lineups, but I don't hate the move. But at the same time, I also don't love the move. I don't think it's something that is a groundbreaking move, but it makes sense, and I think it's very likely at this point because of the fact that, anytime you can get an all-star, a 2-time all-star for, pennies in the dollar, you obviously want to go ahead and do that. And I think that's what makes this a steal rather than the fact that his fit is still a little bit questionable and will be questionable for a while. But he's a 2-time all-star, 17 points, 10 rebounds. He leads all active players in 10 and 10 games. He would help clean up the glass, and him and Ayton, there would be no problems rebounding for this team. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on Vučević. Do you want to see the Lakers go out and acquire him, or would you rather see them go after somebody else? Again, this would be under the assumption that they couldn't get one of those wings that we're all talking about. Let me know down below. One other thing, ESPN came out with their offseason grade, and they gave the Lakers a B. So this is from Shams Charania. And they basically spoke about, basically Ayton, Smart, Jake LaRavia. They gave him a B. Talking about the biggest question about the Lakers offseason is the approach of the 40-year-old superstar LeBron James. However, James has little leverage after exercising his player option. So let me know down below what the grade you give would be. I would say B+ because you got them for basically nothing, but I understand a B. Like, they haven't gotten out and fixed their biggest problem, which is a point of attack defender. You could argue that Marcus Smart is that. I'm saying that he is, but I think they need one more guy to plug into the starting lineup. But B, I think it's reasonable, maybe a little bit higher if it was myself giving a grade, but that'll wrap it up. Let me know down below what your thoughts are. See you later.